I got involved in the PTA and then was elected to the city council and then elected mayor of my hometown, where my agenda was to stop wasteful spending and cut property taxes and put the people first.
Vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin describes herself as a fiscal conservative, intent on cutting wasteful spending. During her mayoral race, she even promised to cut her own salary.
She took a reduction in pay of $4,000. She reduced her salary from $68,000 to $64,000.
When she was running for election, one of the reporters asked her and said, "You really don't have administrative experience. Are you going to be able to handle running the city, or do you think that you'll need to hire an administrator?" And she said, "It's not rocket science. I can run it." She wasn't in office very long before she hired a $50,000 administrator.
The net effect was to nearly double the cost of taking care of the administrative functions of running the city.
To campaign that you're going to cut your salary, you turn around and hire an administrator who costs more by far than the amount of money you've taken out of your own salary, then you've sort of violated that trust.
And her record as mayor did not live up to her promises of fiscal responsibility.
Ms. Palin came into office, it's my understanding that the city had little to no debt. But when she left, it's clear that the city had a great deal of debt. So one set of numbers is $22 million to $25 million.
She took and remodeled her mayor's office, and it was not approved by the local city council. She spent $50,000 that should have been put toward road improvements.
This was far in excess of her authority and abuse of power. And when challenged by the council, she just said, "Well, I'm mayor, and I can do what I feel like."
She used her mayor's office to campaign for lieutenant governor. The bill for her logo was sent to the city of Wasilla. Her admin assistant was used to do political partisan campaign activities.
At the time Sarah Palin was elected, a sales tax was enacted by the city, creating much-needed revenue for Wasilla.
But while we were experiencing these revenue surpluses, she was nevertheless encouraging the voters to go and borrow for parks, borrow to build roads. We could have built those roads out of pocket without borrowing. That's not my idea of fiscal conservatism. And then, of course, she encouraged us to borrow approximately $15 million for the sports complex.
Sarah had a hockey rink built that's called a municipal center here in the valley, and it's great for the community as a community center, but it should have been built from a revenue perspective to be able to pay for itself.
They started building before they had wrapped up title to the property underneath it. And as a result, we have spent about 7 years now in litigation through eminent domain proceedings to acquire title to the land that the building sits on. In my short time on City Council, we have spent $1.342 million just paying the owner of the land. That does not include the amount of money that we have spent on our own city attorney for his costs and fees and other associated things.
I wish she would have secured the property, but as everything she does, she generally pushes when she has public opinion instead of taking all the detailed steps to do what she needs to do to make sure it's done correctly and in a conservative fashion.
Spending the money that we had to borrow for the sports complex before making sure we had a proper sewage treatment facility doesn't make sense. Government's role is to provide the essential services that citizens can't do for themselves, and we need to take care of those things first.
Many voters are very concerned, especially with our current financial crisis, to elect someone who has a good handle on fiscal issues. And they want to know, is Sarah a fiscal conservative? As both mayor and governor, she has proposed expansion of government. My answer is no.
She has no grasp of economics, basic fiscal certainty. If she were to become vice president, I would be even more afraid that we would have worse economic times than what we have currently now.